It's horror, horror, horror. Whether travel horror stories, the scariest movies you've ever seen, or human marvels. All tonight on Roundtable. Welcome to Roundtable. I'm Michael Roberts. I'd like to introduce my guests tonight. Billy Mitchell, comedian, actor. Jason Dedrick, actor, musician. And Scott McClelland from Carnival Diablo and the World of Wonder. I want to start with actually talking to you, Scott, because a couple of years ago, you were kind enough to have me come up for a ribbon cutting for the World of Wonders?
The World of Wonders.
Can you tell us a bit about what that is? Because it's the last
traveling freak show in Canada. Yeah. Carnival Diablo's World of Wonders is basically an epitaph to my grandfather's career. He owned the largest traveling circus sideshow in Canada from 1920 through 1968. So we have on show 25 large exhibits of freaks on the inside. And when you go inside, you get to see a full-bodied mummy, a Fiji mermaid from the P.T. Barnum Museum. You get to see also the only exhibit of the Elephant Man in the world. It's like amazing. And we have shrunken heads, a glory hand, a hand of glory used in actual witchcraft ceremonies in the 16th century, and other rather unusual artifacts from the past 500 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, actually, I don't know whose show it was, but I remember being in Saskatchewan and going to the fair, you know, going on all the rides and everything like that. And they had something there, it was like they had, I remember seeing, you know, a two-headed calf and seeing these different things. These, you know, there was stuff, they weren't live, but I remember having to pay extra money to see a two-headed baby. And it was in this tank. I don't know, was it real? I don't know what it was, but is that what? A blow-off.
It's called a blow-off, yeah.
There you go.
We get the extra dime out of you that way.
Yeah.
Your curiosity gets the best of you.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow.
But are these all real things? These are, I mean, not to give away any of your stuff, but
absolutely.
I mean in general.
In Sideshow, I'd say 70% of most things that were on show were real.
Yeah.
In the freak show.
Yeah.
Unless they were deemed to be illusions like Spydora or the Snake Girl, you knew that was going to be an illusion.
Yeah.
But when you see a two-headed calf, it's not a gaff. There's enough of them born that the farmers, you know, occasionally are lucky enough to meet itinerant showmen that come through and go, can I taxidermy this? And it's like, sure enough, it's in the show the next day.
Yeah.
And so those types of things are real. And also sideshow owners, not these days because not many collect anymore, but my grandfather would get letters from other people that had anomalies. And they said, look, this is what we have. We don't know what to do with it anymore. It's like Tiberius Sloan, Clement Tiberius Sloan. He's a mummified prospector. We have him on show, and it's really creepy. The family got in touch with my grandfather and said, Clement's been in the family for 110 years. He asked to be placed in a glass-fronted coffin. We're tired of looking at him. Can you do something with it? You know. And so my grandfather bought the remains of the man and put him on show. Now we put him on show every summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So did you inherit a bunch of stuff then?
I own his whole estate.
Oh, I see.
I have 120 exhibits, and so there's 25 on show, but I've got rotational exhibits that can go in, so it's always different every year.
And you're thinking of putting someplace maybe in the future that you would have
a stationary tourist attraction. In 1992, we opened up a stationary attraction in Calgary called Carnival Diablo, and that was the inception of the world of Carnival Diablo. And then it became so well known that we had to tour. And so we started touring with our stage show and everything else, and it became more of a performance with human marvels. But now we're going back to the roots again, and we want to open up a stationary attraction, hopefully in Niagara Falls in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Have you ever seen those have you ever gone to those when you were a kid or see any of that kind of stuff?
No, just really minor stuff at like the PNE or something. But yeah, I think I had too vivid of an imagination. I think I would have just like had nightmares for weeks. I'd have nightmares from watching like the KVOS big movie, and be checking the basement for body snatchers, But I was just thinking, your grandfather back in those days, right, having to collect that stuff, that's because they didn't have eBay. I can imagine that kind of stuff now. It'd be just, every two-headed mummy.
It's being snapped up, though, by collectors that have nothing to do with our industry. So now it's just going into people's, rumpus rooms, which is really frustrating to, people that are still trying to keep the sideshow alive.
And Michael Jackson's house.
That's right.
Michael Jackson's house, yeah. He's approached me once for purchase of the Elephant Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like...
I thought he did own the Elephant Man.
No, he doesn't own the Elephant Man or the bones. The British Museum has the bones, and they also took life casts of his body when he was around. And it's kind of creepy, but no, Michael doesn't have any of it. It's all at the British Museum.
That Michael, he lies.
He told you that. He's just trying to get you in his house.
Those were the days.
Good luck next time, Michael.
But I want to talk about this. Just sort of leads me into something. I went on recently. I was buying a bunch of DVDs to replace a bunch of VHS movies that I got, and stuff like that. And I started to get. I love the horror movies and the sort of the chillers and the thrillers and all that, the classic stuff. And it got me thinking about the best horror movies ever made, or the best kind of things. And I was saying that it was that I liked The Exorcist. I bought that on DVD and stuff. It's the documentary that comes with it, I think, is better than the rest. But when we come back, I'd like to talk and get your opinions on some of the best horror films ever made. So we'll be right back after this message. Welcome back to Roundtable. I'm your host, Michael Roberts. We're here with Billy Mitchell, Jason Dedrick, Scott McClelland, and we're talking about the best scary movies ever made. I don't want to say just horror films because they can. I know Jason's frightened by Digby, the biggest dog in the world.
Anything bigger than a table, I'm a little leery of.
But I was saying I bought this. What I love about DVDs is that, you get your favorite film, but now they've added all this stuff to it. And I picked up the Exorcist, and it had a documentary on it that I think is almost better than the film. It's just a behind-the-scenes thing. There's stuff on the fact that there was some creepy goings-on when they were filming the film, and then just some horrible goings-on with the director, tricking poor Linda Blair and tricking the other actress and things like that. I think that's, when I was a kid, not many things frightened me. They still don't. I hardly ever watch a film and get frightened. You might jump, but I don't actually get the heebie-jeebies from anything. But certain films do, and I think, for me, the Karen Black trilogy of terror.
Yeah,
but only the final one.
The little doll under the bed. Yeah. Great. Go to my childhood fears. I was cutting the legs off my bed because there was something underneath it. I don't know.
Collectively, I think everybody's on the same page on that one, because that's the first thing that goes into my head as a childhood horror.
Yeah.
Was the trilogy of terror. That movie, really. I don't want to say what it did to me. It was it was.
I want to know what the ratings were on that thing, because I don't think back then they didn't run things the way they do now. No. You didn't have video, you didn't have DVD. But everybody in our age group saw this thing and it freaked the hell out of them.
Yeah.
They all have it in their head.
Yeah. Anything with sort of animated dolls, when you ever see, what was that one with the
Magic?
Yeah. The commercial freaked me out. The commercial for that.
Abracadabra, I sit on his knee. Hocus pocus, now he is me. Presto change and we take her to bed. Magic is fun. We're dead.
I went to see the Peter Ralston show with my kids, and I just saw that, then it comes out.
Peter! Oh my gosh!
Something about heads turning around and animated dolls. And
it's one of our exhibits is the actual ventriloquist dummy that had inspired the movie Magic and a whole bunch of other books on homicidal ventriloquist dummies. We have a dummy that was found on the site.
There's a lot of these?
No, we have the dummy that was found on the site in 1923 of 3 separate murders. And in the very first murder, the coroner's report stated, and this is, as God is my witness, it's one of my most famous exhibits. It stated that the person that was found murdered had fist marks on his body the size of a 5-year-old child's fists. Every owner that's had this thing has died under mysterious causes. And so I have him on show chained to a trunk filled with 400 pounds of lead shot. And
and still that doesn't stop him.
We lose 1-2 people a year.
I tell you though, people stand in front of that thing for hours and they swear they've seen the eyes move. They swear that the thing has moved a little bit. I've never seen it happen myself, but when I had it as a stationary attraction in Calgary, we had them set up at the very back of the attraction. And there was about 200 people around it at the time, and there was a sonic boom in the building. The whole building went like this. And these 2 guys came running from the back of the building. I was doing paperwork, and they go, "Is that supposed to happen? Is that supposed to happen?" I said, "What's supposed to happen?" They said, "You got to see this." I went back there, and 200 people verified this. They said they saw the trunk filled with 400 pounds of lead shot levitate 6 inches off the ground and come back down full force, jarring everything in its parameter off the tables, except for Waldo. And that was the name of the dummy, was Waldo. And I was like, this is crazy.
And that's where that whole "Where's Waldo" thing probably got started.
Where is he?
That's right. Who wants Waldo? That would give you the creeps.
Well, now how do you remain safe from the curse?
Yeah.
Well, one, it's in the museum.
No,
it's in the museum, and it's actually not only the trunk is not only filled with 400 pounds of lead shot, but it's been machine bolted into the floor.
Okay.
And he's chained like hog-tied and chained, like he's first roped, then he's chained. Like it's really kind of creepy seeing this dummy roped and chained to this thing. But I got curious because I have a hard time believing that this thing could be animate.
Yeah.
So I asked a psychic, what is it about this thing that's making it so evil, if it is evil? And the psychic said to me, it's made of bad wood. And I said, well, what the heck's bad wood? Wait, the thing, from what the psychic told me, could have been carved from a hangman's tree.
Oh, yeah.
And that suddenly made a lot more sense. And I was like, okay, that's really creepy. Thanks, bye.
I'm not sure I'm really happy if anything starts making any more sense in this particular context. The only time I've seen a dummy tied up, it was a mannequin in a fetish shop. But that's an entirely different thing. That was Soho. That was a long time.
That was the
Memories.
70s. Anything else? But it's funny you mentioned Peter Ralston, of all things.
Yeah.
He had at one point he did a show, Pete's Place, but he had that he was like out in a bayou or something. Do you remember this period? And there was like a house on stilts, and he had a creature, this dummy that was kind of the villain dummy to the other kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he would come up under the house, and that was where this villain dummy would show up. And I spoke to Peter Ralston once, and I said, I said, this thing used to scare the hell out of me. And he goes, if I had a dime for every one of you kids that came, from that age that said that. It was just insane.
That's what is lacking, I think, in children's programming these days, is more horror.
Exactly.
Getting them ready for the real world.
I think
But the thing is, it's true. Grimm's fairy tales and all that was written way back when to help them assimilate from being a child to an adolescent. And it is lacking, and that's why I think it was so therapeutic to have a show like The Addams Family on TV.
Thank you.
The public service.
And I'm not saying that because you're here and you were on that show, but because of the fact that if you watch TV now, there's nothing for children to watch that gives them a story that's a little twisted. It's always clean, it's always normal.
Yeah.
And there's no fantasy. Like, remember The Hilarious House of Frightenstein?
Yeah.
I bought into that big time. I loved it. I waited for Griselda to tell me how to cook. But the thing is like I wasn't catching all the hippy dippy stuff that was going on, all the drug culture things that were going on in the show at the time. I just thought it was tremendous.
Yeah.
And these days we don't have characters that are just characters, unless you look at like Barney the dinosaur or something. And that's what made The Addams Family so poignant, was the fact that these were people that were completely strange, and they were still very enjoyable. And so with that, you can grow up thinking that maybe strange isn't that bad because I enjoyed being around them. You know?
I don't think strange is that bad, and I think we're proving that here today. Stick around, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Roundtable. I went to California and I tried to check into this motel that I was supposed to stay at that I'd organized. It was near some friends, and I went in and first of all they told me something that a strangest thing I've ever been told in a hotel was, well, all right, you can stay here, but we don't usually serve transients. And I was like, who do you usually have in your hotel?
What the hell does that mean?
That's what I was afraid of, but it was late and I needed to stay the night. I went there. I should have known, this is an honest truth story, I should have known it was bad. It was in one of those motels that you park outside and you can see all the rooms. There was people bringing down a mattress from one of the rooms and loading it into a truck. And I should have known that it was not a good place to stay. But I checked out right away from that place.
Don't come looking for food in the restaurant either. Oh, hungry man.
We don't use
No, he is not welcome here. So I just wanted to say another thing. I mean, I got on the flight to go home, and I know I'm a big guy. But I'm not, in my opinion, a huge man. I'm not a frighteningly huge man.
Only talent.
There you go. I went to sit down, though, and the guy next to me in the seat did this. Oh, for God's sake. So I went, okay, fine, I won't sit there. I got one of my friends to sit there instead, and I sat somewhere else. And then I went to take the little tray down, and I couldn't get it past my stomach. And I realized I came to the decision that I'm too fat to fly.
Oh, no.
That's right. But this leads me to talk about travel horror stories.
Trilogy of Terror.
No.
On the plane.
Do you have travel? Have you ever had bad experience traveling on trips?
Oh. I can match your motel story with a stay in Rocky Mountain house, nice town, where the hotel room was so filthy, like the carpet was crispy. So I actually kept my boots on. I went back out to the car, got my sleeping bag, rolled it out onto the bed, and literally shucked off my boots and lay down on my sleeping bag just so I'd have a layer. And then got up in the morning and went to the gas station to use the washroom to brush my teeth. I just wouldn't even go in the bathroom. It was just like, But yeah, I had a couple of interesting travel stories.
Well, I know you travel around as a comedian, so I mean, it's probably. Do they have at some place? I know with friends of mine who are in bands, the band house.
Oh, the
that
band
you're supposed
group.
to stay at. I mean, did they have that set up for you? I mean, do you have places?
Sometimes, yeah, you get into a place where it's been alternately used by, it's like a suite upstairs from the bar, and it's used by, on alternate weekends, a Def Leppard takeoff band, and then next week the male strippers are in there, and you don't really want to be lifting at the mattress or anything, or disturbing any sort of dust or DNA samples.
Every time I travel, I end up coming up with one of those instances. It just something happens. But it sort of reminds me of something we were talking about earlier, where you said that luck, you sort of perceive how lucky you are and how I think that the same works for weird experiences. Mm-hmm. I think if you think I have weird experiences wherever I go, you are going to attract weird experiences to you. And I just think I'm one of those people. I think I'm just a magnet for weird crap.
It's true. Yeah. You set up your perceptions. Weird things happen to me, then weird things will happen to you.
Like attracts like.
Yeah. Well, I know I got back one time. I was telling somebody about the weird things that happened, and they just kind of looked at me. It's like, do weird things happen to you all the time?
Did you want a humorous and maybe a weird travel story?
Sure.
That happened with my wife and I years ago when we went to Mexico, and we wound up in a town called Merida. And we were getting ready to leave, actually, and the bus didn't leave till 1 in the morning, so we're prowling around. We've had to check out ages ago, dragging our backpacks with us. And we're walking by this place, and it's like this bar with a party, but it's gated, and there's security guys out in front. And they saw us, and we started looking in, and waved us in. We get in there, and it's like people are just having a great time, and there's women dancing with men and everything, and which is not uncommon, actually. No, but we eventually
we were not used to seeing.
No, but it was just anyway. It turned out we were in a bordello. We had no idea. This was, and we gradually sort of went, and my wife being sort of tall and blonde kind of stuck out in a Mexican bordello, and people were sort of, being very nice to her, and eventually we sort of went, the penny dropped, and so we, thank you.
It's going to cost you more than this penny.
Yeah.
Stormed out.
Didn't realize where you were until the bill came.
Yeah, and they had a 2-headed baby in a jar, and there's an extra peso or two.
There you go. It was worth it.
Bordello Diablo.
Yeah.
Bordello Diablo.
Now, see, I rented that DVD.
Yeah. The documentary is so much better than the film.
Well, we're going to be right back to wrap everything up after this. Welcome back to Roundtable. I'm Michael Roberts, and I just want to thank my guests tonight on the show, Billy Mitchell.
Thank you for having me.
Jason Dedrick, Scott McClelland from Carnival Diablo. If you have 15 seconds, is there anything you'd like to plug?
I'm thinking of getting back into Amway. Nothing on the boiler right now.
Nothing on the boiler now. Just you're ready though.
Yeah, I'm ready
for anything to happen.
Yes.
I got 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Sell me on Amway.
Yeah.
Is that how you want to spend your 15 seconds?
That's right. I want that extra zero put on there. Could you use an extra $1,000?
Oh no, he's selling you Amway.
$10,000?
And Scott, you're off.
You can probably find us at an auditorium or a theater near you in the next while, because we're always touring Canada.
Where can they go to check that out?
www.carnivaldiablo.com.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for joining us tonight, and as usual, taking us out of the show, the wonderful Sandy Allen Quartet. Take it away.
Ho, 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 what a laugh. Bum, bum. Look at the calf. Bum, bum. He's got himself a pair of heads
where there should be just one.
I wouldn't lie. Bum, bum. I saw a guy. Bum, bum. He was lifting up 100 pounds with nothing but his tongue. Freak show, freak show. Come and take a peek. There's a guy that pounds a nail straight into his beak. Sword-swallowing bug-eaters, if this is what you seek. Quit your job and join the mob and come and see the freaks. That term is not politically correct. We call them human marvels now instead.